Good afternoon, everyone. I come to bring forth a bit of afternoon cheer. You see what the title say? It's asking the question. Come on now. I'm gonna have to let go. It's asking the question. Is we sick, boss? Is we sick, boss? You know, we are speaking in regards to the boss of the country, you know. And when by boss of the country, I do mean, you know, the most high official, Massa Biden. You know, seems to come out that the news he's been afflicted by what is known as I guess the newest variant of what is of coronavirus. Not as what is known, what is. He's been affected by the new strain of coronavirus, and you know, I'm not here to be acrimonious. I wish our beloved kind master most speedy recovery. Unlike the when you know when your good old I ain't mean to drop my camera. Unlike when the former president was in, and it seemed like you would go on these timelines, and you know it's almost as if like, well, they're not necessarily hoping for the president's survival. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm talking about is today. It comes out, the news has come out that Joe Biden, our sitting president, Joe Biden, has come down with the coronavirus. And it's interesting enough, you know, that he pushed the vaccines real heavily. He even got to the point where he said that if people who did not necessarily take the vaccine, who chose not to take the vaccine because of whatever specific reason, religious, personal belief, trepidation, or fear, whether they chose not to take the vaccine, that they were in essence killing other American people. You know, so okay, so now we have our leader, the honorable President Joe Biden, you know, which I affectionately refer to him as Kind Massa. He's in office and he's I'm overstepping out. And he's become down. He's sick now. He's sick now. So at this point, you will be wanting to ask, well, hey, if you had the vaccine and you caught it, like, you know, this is nothing new. I'm not saying nothing that I hadn't said in the past before, that just because you had the vaccine, that doesn't prevent you from catching it. Now, other people came out later on and said, well, they never said that if you get the vaccine, you wouldn't catch the coronavirus. But, you know, it's also evidence that on some of these mainstream cable news programs, some of their head anchors were saying that you would indeed not catch the coronavirus if you had the vaccine. Now, Facebook don't ding my account. This is just, I'm already being considerate in kind to our beloved leader of the free world, Mr. Professor, not Professor, my goodness, President, the Honorable President Joseph Biden, you know, loving father, you know, very functional family, you know. I guess his leadership over the country reflected in his in the way that he raised his family. You know, isn't that what, you know, those who who present themselves as high politicians and representatives of your morals and views and values to the point where you should appoint them to a higher office. It's kind of rough driving today, people. I apologize. They out here heavy. It's Thursday. I don't know what happened. I get paid on Thursday morning, but I don't know if that's the whole entire case. I guess it's time for people to get off. I'm still getting adjusted to coming back to the 7 o'clock time, but nevertheless, yes. There was concern. I watched a bit of the press conference, and there's concern. They say that he's supposed to be down for 5 days, and upon that 5th day, he needs to present a result that is negative for coronavirus. And I mean that's pretty much what it takes for most of us to go back to our jobs. I hear that there are ways that some people are like even using. I don't know whether this is this. I don't. I've grown less to believe in karma, but I don't know if it's like, well, what they'll do is they'll say if they want to have protection for a day off, they'll say, and I'm not purposely telling on anything. I'm just giving just the information of what I heard. This is rumor. This may not be happening. What they do is they'll say that they came in contact with somebody who tested positive for the coronavirus. And what that does is that buys them some days off. They're not paid days off. Understandably not. But what they do is give you the absolution from, you don't get in trouble. I was about to say the absolution of persecution. You don't get rolled up for that. But yeah, man, here it is. It's 2022. The Rona had come upon us in the early part of 2020. I say February because I still have to believe to this day that I caught the virus sometime in February because I suffered the same symptoms in the long COVID. I almost thought I was going to die. And I do believe that Joe Biden, he didn't have to experience, or mostly anybody at this point doesn't necessarily have to experience the type of suffering, per se, that I went through, because I was taking care of myself, man oftentimes finds himself in a place, they say every man should have a woman. I guess that's the time where I should having a woman would have been useful, but nevertheless, I lived. Barely. But the point I'm trying to make is at this point, that was at the very, very beginning. But we're like 2 years later, and even doing the process that they were trying to come up with this vaccine, and it was always presented like it's gonna be the one-shot deal. We'd be able to come outside, no more masks, all this shit. Once you take this vaccine. And then it got to the point where at the beginning, us who know about the type of experiments that, the dominant society does on African-American black people of colors, or injure nigga like me, like nigga folks like me. We were apprehensive, and it's like saying, well, hell, if I'm under the knowledge that I have had this disease, even though there weren't necessarily any methods of testing, because they didn't really know what it was in February 2020, why would I have to be lined up? I done went through the sickness. I know what it takes to go through the sickness. I learned some methods of treating myself while I was sick. So why would I, be hurrying up to take something that seemed like it was rushed to be made and hasn't really had any long-term information. But this is not what this was supposed to be. Kind Massa sick, y'all. It's we sick, boss. I know I'm sick. I'm sick of paying for this high-ass gas. sick of paying these high ass groceries. I'm sick of this sense of economic, also social, economic, national, international, global security. We have a country where there seems to be young white, classified as white domestic terrorists going around shooting up areas. You have one, you hear about them having road situation in the city where I live, where a road rage incident, supposedly a road rage, where the lady, it was a lady, and it was I would imagine a non-black male. Sincerely, when I finish telling you the story, you'll easily understand that this had to be a non-black male. So they on the freeway or whatever. He cut her off, and she got back over and cut him off again or whatever. They cussing that he supposed to call her an expletive, and she cussed him out as well. She admitted she cussed him out as well. But at the end of the situation, he lets off 6 shots in the back of this woman's car, and is able to say he feared for his life and leave the scene of the crime. I mean, I guess there's no excuse for anti-black racism other than a sincere form of sincere feeling of inferiority, or jealousy, envy, or just can you just naturally have such natural hatred for a group of people, the melanated people, which pretty much built this country, as some say, has built the foundation for this country. But even in our building of the foundation of this country, we have to be well aware at this point right now that there's not too much building going on. We spending our days focused on a Muppet mascot, and how it just ignores our children. We should not even, if the Muppet, my mom would tell me that ain't the real one, no way. Forget it. She wouldn't say F him, but she would say, that would be quickly and readily dismissed. No external character builds, no external individual character outside of you and that other child's parent should be able to take away their self-esteem or make them feel undervalued. That ain't your problem, baby. That's their problem. And if if I thereby choose to give them a piece of my mind, a lot of times, but I understand we get on. I imagine that these mothers, they cry their tears. Their daughters, their children were dismissed by we don't know what race of ethnicity or group of people underneath those costumes. It wasn't like it was a fuzzy purple character that comes on public television or HBO, because Sesame Street was bought out by HBO, whatever, or it comes on HBO. That's not that character on the show. This is just probably some mark making $16 an hour for 10 hours a day or whatever, walking around doing fuzzy, goofy shit. But what I really just, it's like some weird obscure form of marketing. Now Sesame Street has apologized, and then the attention's on Sesame Street, and people start getting Sesame Street. I'm OG Sesame Street. I'm like, I was born in '71. So that's pretty much around when Sesame Street came. One of my earliest TV memories, I think I was sitting on my mother's bed, and she was in the shower or in the bathtub or whatever, and she had turned the TV on Sesame Street, and cause it was a little bitty black TV. I had to, and it had to be like, y'all might think I'm lying, I had to be like 3 or some shit, but I'm getting far off Master We Sick Boss. But I do hope our leader. I really wish he went over to Saudi Arabia. I don't know what he went over to the Middle East for. I guess I thought it was supposed to bring the gas back down. Nothing. I shouldn't say nothing, but most of the stuff that has went up is unfortunately not going to go back down because they're giving up. There's this illusion that there's been a raising of minimum wage, and now everybody's is what's the word, that there's income. There's no longer income wealth disparity in this country because of a modicum raise of minimum wage. Meanwhile, it gets closer to those who might have been making a lower middle class, or just a regular, I'm above water, as long as I'm a check to check person. Minimum wage jobs in all my years of being, were never necessarily designed to pay your rent and your light bill and your car note and your insurance and all that shit. You got to have like 2 or 3 of them hoes to do all that. But I don't know, man. Kind Massa sick, and Mean Massa, he had to lay away his beloved ex-wife Ivanka. She used to call him the Donald. When Donald Trump was cool with everybody, with the African American. We already know that he wrote the Central Park 5 shit, but even after that shit, when Donald Folk was on You're Fired, on the Entrepreneur, whatever that show he had or whatever, everybody was cool with him until he started fucking with Obama. But that's another story altogether. But basically, I'm veering off into something else. All I really was just remarking that Donald went to. I saw pictures of him going to his ex-wife's funeral, and I really, that really just hit me to the fact that, well, they didn't have any. You might have a black family and it might be okay. Well, that's the ex-husband or whatever, and the ex-husband can't come to the damn wedding. And I shouldn't be so stereotypical against the African American, black, and the nigger folks like myself, but there's many criticisms and critiques we could make about each other. And they're oftentimes are very righteous, but they also other times are merely unsubstantiated or unsolicited opinion. But I'm Candyland, where I take my stand and I make my bends. Oh yeah, I am here on my designated plantation to pick my row of cotton. I said I'm going to stop using the plantation references, but Candyland, where I take my stand and I make my bench. Con Massa, it'd be rough out here underneath your stead, and you're going to be away from us for 5 days, but the good old the African American of descent, the African American press secretary told us, you can be the president anywhere. The technology, and you can be the president anywhere. And that's the same thing they said about old Mean Massa when Mean Massa got the COVID on the campaign trail. Woo! Damn, I got to get this man. But yeah, y'all, I got to go, man. I just wanted to, get well soon, Con Massa. Oh, he's sick, ball. Peace and love, everyone. Facebook, please don't shadow ban me so goddamn hard.